Hey friends, welcome to your fifth C++ tutorial. So friends, in the previous tutorial we talked about header files, why they are required, and then we came to IOStream, why it is needed to implement input and output facilities. Now to carry out input and output operations, IOStream has declared some objects like cout, scene, right? Cout actually stands for console output and scene for console input. Now what is console? Console is simply the window of the operating system through which we users can interact with the programs of the operating system. The interaction consists of text input from this keyboard, which is known as the standard input device, or text display on the computer screen, which is the standard output device. We can actually see when we will run our program, a black screen will appear. I can show that to you. See, this actually whole program is just to print hello world, and this black screen is appearing. So now I am able to interact. I am the user. I am able to interact with this computer program through this window. So this is the console, right? So cout and scene are simply the input and output tools. And remember friends, these are not keywords. This question is most of the time asked in Viva. These are the objects or predefined stream objects, more accurately, whose declarations are defined in this IOStream. That's why mainly this IOStream is used. Its name signifies its use. Input output stream means if we do not include this file, then the compiler will give an error that from where this cout is actually coming. Cout is defined in this header file only. And if this IOStream is not included, then for every reference of cout or scene, compiler will show an error, because it actually does not know that from where these cout and scene are coming. Okay, now comes this operator. This is actually the output operator as it is used with cout, like this cout and this output operator, and it is also known as stream insertion operator, because it is actually used to insert whatever is following this to this cout. As cout is used to obtain the output and this operator is used to insert a value to it, you can see that hello world is following this stream insertion operator. And what's its work? Its work is simply to insert each byte of this hello world, each character to this to cout. And what's the use of cout? It is providing us the output facility. Means it will show this as an output on the output screen on our console. So we need to insert this to cout, but we can't do it without an operator. And this operator is used to insert these values to this standard output, which is cout. Okay. Similarly friends, we will talk of scene also when we will use it in our program. Here we are not using it, and along with scene we will also talk of the stream extraction operator which is used with it. Okay, so now let us come to this line, using namespace std. Right, first of all, what is a namespace? Namespace is a container for identifiers. You will really not find it useful if your program is of just a few lines like this, but most of the commercial programs out there are very long and developed by different teams of developers. This means that sooner or later someone is going to use the same name for a different purpose and thereby create a name clash that can hinder the project. Let me make this clear to you by an example. Suppose your classroom is your C++ program like this, and all the students there are the identifiers or the variables. Suppose there are two students with the same name, suppose Alpha. Now there is a possibility that a teacher, which is the compiler, can get confused between you two. If one student Alpha gives her a notebook, then she might not be able to recognize the owner of this notebook, right? Same thing happens in this C++ also. When programs start to get really big, not like this. This is very small program. It gets difficult to track all the functions and the variables that you have already declared. This sometimes results in two different things being declared that have the same name. And when this happens, the program will give you an error because the compiler can't tell which is which anymore. So here comes the use of this namespace. A namespace is designed to overcome this difficulty and is used as additional information to differentiate variables, functions, etc. that have similar features with the same name. Okay, so namespace is a container for identifiers and it is actually used to distinguish those variables and functions that are having same names or features. Okay, so just like you might use surnames to call two persons that have same names to distinguish between them, namespaces also make variables and functions having same names distinguishable for the compiler. Now what is this STD? We understood by what is this namespace, but why this STD is following it? It actually stands for the standard library, right? STD comes from the word standard. Now you know what is a standard library. I already told you, but I can repeat it for you, that the C++ language contains some statements only. But there are a lot of functions that are very important and they are actually known as built-in functions. And these functions are not included within the language. So these all together are stored in a library which is known as the standard library. Now see friends, by writing namespace std, you are telling the compiler to take everything which is there in the standard namespace. Now whenever you write cout, scene, compiler checks the standard namespace and finds definitions of cout and scene there and gives no error because cout and scene are defined in the standard library. Okay, so by adding this std with namespace, you are simply telling the compiler to take all the stuff out from the standard namespace, not any other namespace because there are a lot of namespaces available, and bump it all the stuff into your C++ program. Okay, so now you understand what is namespace std. But now what is using? See friends, this using directive allows the compiler to use all the names in this namespace. So through this using, we import all the names in the namespace and they are available throughout the program. So let us come to the conclusion. Using namespace std means that you are importing all the identifiers, functions, etc., all the stuff under the standard namespace to your current C++ program. And if you do not write this statement, then each time you need a cout or a scene, you have to write it like this. I can show you that, like this, std and then this scope resolution operator and then cout. This double colon is actually a scope resolution operator. We will talk about this later on, and this method of adding something to your program is known as adding comments and or documentation more accurately. I will tell you about these later on. Let's focus on this using directive. Okay, so you understood, if you do not write this statement, you have to write cout like this each time, and that is a tedious task. So in order to avoid adding this std prefix each time, you add this line using namespace std just at the starting of your program, and each time compiler will read cout, it will read it as this. And it actually means that you are telling compiler, hey C++, find cout in the standard namespace and bring it to my program. Okay. Next we come to our main function. Well friends, I call it a function as it has these parentheses. Function is a large topic friends, and at this time you just need to know that if you find anything followed by these parentheses, then these are functions. And here the name of this function is main, which is a very important part of a C++ program. Many a times it's asked what's the significance of this main function. See friends, execution of your program begins with this main function. is the starting point of the execution of all C++ programs. You know friends, in computer programming, an entry point is a point in which the control is transferred from the operating system to the computer program. And in C and C++, this entry point is the main function. Okay, and the content of the main, like this, these two statements are the content of the main here in this program, and these are the first to be executed in any C++ program. Okay.